How to train an acquisitions rep to hit the ground running. That's the topic of today's show. This is Todd Toback, and I want to welcome you to the No Limits Real Estate Investing Podcast. If this is your first time listening to the show, and maybe you are just scratching and clawing your way to that first deal, you just want to make that first paycheck in real estate, or maybe you're trying to scale this business, trying to grow this business to a 7-figure operation that's going to spit off cash month after month after month, and really have a machine that's going to work without your day-to-day involvement, this is the place for you. And I've got a gift for you. Head on over to www.nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. And there is a gift from me to you. It's the exact script that I use to train my own acquisition specialist in my own business. The exact script that I've used to basically do over 1,300 deals inside my own company and thousands of investors across the country. I'm going to give it to you for free. So go to nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. All right. So let's talk about how to hire an acquisitions rep. And if you don't know what an acquisitions rep is, it's someone who you're going to bring on to your team to help you do more deals. Now, maybe you're a solopreneur and you are just trying to do your first deal. And I recommend, obviously, to do your first deal yourself before you try to bring somebody on. But maybe you're at that point where you're like, man, I just really want to expand. I want to do more deals. I've got to free up some time, and I want somebody else to meet with the sellers. Training and onboarding this person and getting them off to a fast start is going to be so important. You've got to get them to a quick win. You want them to make money. You want you to make money. And you just want to get off on that right foot to build that momentum. If you don't, right, I've seen this a lot where a slow start can crush an acquisitions rep and really cost you a lot of time and money in lost deals. So it's really, really, really important to get that person on a fast start. So you want to have a system, a plan, a framework that when this person comes on, man, they are locked and loaded. Day 1, boom. Day 2, boom. Day 3, boom. Day 4, contract. Oh, man, that feels good just saying it. All right. So first important thing on how to train an acquisitions rep on to hit the ground running is, number one, you want to hire the right person. And I've done other podcasts about that, but you're looking for someone who's hungry, who has the capability, who fits your core values as a company, and who's going to work 40, 50 hours a week. Okay, they are going to have to put in the work. By the way, I know some people who try to hire part-time and they have another gig. I can tell you what, I've never seen that work for any length of time. So forget the part-time. You are looking for someone who's 100% dedicated to you. And in turn, you are going to be dedicated to them. I'm telling you what, 100% full-time is going to run laps around someone who is part-time. And really, I've never seen it work. Okay. Next, and this is part of the onboarding, I actually like to see the interview process as actually part of the onboarding process. So after the second or third interview, I like to bring people in and I like to see them get on the phone for a couple of days, 2 full days on the phone, train, role play, right? We go over the script. We have them make some calls, 40, 50, 60 calls a day. Do you have to pay somebody for this? Not necessarily. Could you? If you want, right? Doesn't really matter, right? So they could have them do it for free for 2 days, or if you could, you can pay them. Now, let me tell you, this actually happens in the corporate world all the time. When I wanted to get my job with Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, I was actually selling Viagra, right? Big Fortune 500 company, tens of thousands of employees. I think actually over 100,000 employees. We had a long interview process, and the last part of that was something they called a ride along. And so I got in the car with a experienced sales rep. Her name was Polly Hook, as a matter of fact. And Polly was in the Beverly Hills territory. I met Polly at 7 a.m. in the morning, and man, she worked me. And Polly's job was to try to wear me out. She was trying to discourage me from the job to show me how hard she worked and what was included. So 7 o'clock, we met at her storage unit. We've got all the samples of drugs. We were in the car, and 7:30, before the doctor turned the first lights on in his office, we were there seeing the rep, and we just went from office to office to office to office, and Polly was setting the pace. And basically, she was trying to tell me without saying a word that if you're not prepared to work 8, 9, 10 hours a day without supervision, then this is not a fit for you. Now, good thing for me, I knew what this was Polly. I knew that this is what Polly was trying to do, and I was ready. But I was also ready to work, right? I was hungry, and I was the right fit for that job. So at the end of the day, we finished right around 6:30. We started at 7. And Polly says, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I love it. Will you recommend me for the job? And Polly had a big smile on her face, and she goes, good close. So she recommended me for the job, and I got it. Well, I'll tell you what, by the time that I started that job, I knew what the job entailed, right? They knew that I was the right person for the job. I knew that it was going to require a lot of work. I spent time with another team member, and so I already had the culture. So part of that onboarding starts in that interview process. So I'm going to recommend to you that once you like somebody and you're farther along in that interview process, that that last day you have them work a full day with you in the office, making calls and making it happen. And if they've got to go in the middle of the day, well, guess what? They're not coming aboard, right? You want them to understand what this looks like. All right. So once you bring them on, I have everybody study the No Limits Selling System twice. Now, if you're a listener of this podcast, hopefully you've purchased that. But if you have not, you can go to nolimitsalesystem.com, and there's some free videos there. If you want to just buy it direct, go to nolimitsalesystem.com/backdoor. And the price is ridiculously cheap right now. So I would invest in that, have them listen to this twice. If you're like, Todd, screw you, I'm not investing in this. You can actually listen to this podcast and put bits and pieces of it together and start to really, really get better at sales. So have them listen. If you don't want to invest in yourself, you can just have them listen to some of these podcasts, and they're going to start to see some results. If you want to fast track, go to nolimitsalesystem.com. Have them listen to this twice, specifically on the 5 communication techniques, which I've talked about on this podcast. Okay. Next thing is you want to role play the script. Now, if you have a script for your own company, or if you don't have one, you want to write one out. Something that an acquisition specialist can read word for word so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you want to use mine, my gift to you, just go to nolimitrealestateinvesting.com/script. So on there's some comments below the script, like how your tone should sound and what your face should look like, and the pauses that you should take. And so you want to download that script, and then you want to role play it with the acquisition specialist again, and then see how they use those communication techniques from the No Limits Selling System. Now, once they do that, okay, you now want to throw some objections at them. Right? Just like you do in the real world. Now you want to start off a little soft, right? You don't want to just blow them out of the water, but give them some softballs initially, right? Just to see how they handle it. You don't want to break them initially. And then see how they handle the script. Have them handle the objections, then go back to the script, right? Throw an objection, right? Then have them go back to the script. Back and forth, repetition, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And they're going to gradually get better. Now, day 3 or 4, you now want them to start getting on the phone. You don't want to wait day 5, 6, 7. You want to get them on the phone sooner. And especially you can have them call some of the older leads in your database that are just sitting there. You don't have to give them new leads. So give them the old stuff to get on the phone, make it happen. So in the beginning of the day, we're going to retrain the No Limit Selling System. We're going to role play. We're going to handle objections. And then on that 3rd, 4th day, we're going to start to get on the phone. Right? So now day 4, we are feeling good, right? We have the No Limit Selling System down. Of course, it's never down. We're always going to train, but we have a basic understanding initially. We understand the scripts. We understand the tonality. We understand the pauses. We can now get over some objections, and we are making calls. Now, let's talk a little bit about database management, okay? Because now you want to start to get them to translate those skills into targets and then into contracts. So now you want to have them build a pipeline of the top 20 leads. So even if they're calling out of your database, you can give them some new leads, but make sure you give them a lot of the old ones. And out of those, they want to start calling. And by the way, if you're a solopreneur and you've been calling by yourself, you probably have not been paying attention to your leads like you need to, right? So your acquisition specialist coming in, man, they're going to come in and they're going to pull out that gold. I always say there's 250 grand sitting in your database right now. So as they start to pluck deals out of that database, and again, they're just pulling out people who raise their hand and say, you know what, I'm interested in selling soon, right? They don't need to be ready to jump off a cliff or desperate, but they just have to raise their hand and say, hey, you know what, I'm interested in selling soon. So have your acquisition specialist, this is day 5 or day 6, start to put together that list. I call them hot and warm leads. And you want about 20 of those. So now they got their top 20. You focus them, you remove the noise, and now they start to see, okay, this 20 people of 20, it's going to start to really, really crystallize. And I see one of these turning into a deal sometime in the next couple of weeks. They take those top 20 or 30. Now, for every single one of those 20 or 30, I say, okay, now let's get a commitment at every single one of these sellers for the next step in the process, right? You're not going to necessarily close them, but you're going to get a next commitment of what is going to happen next in their decision-making process. And man, once you do this, the objections are going to start to flow, and maybe some of those people are going to start to move. So out of those 20, now maybe week 2, you are going to have maybe 1 or 2 who are ready for an appointment. So you're going to listen to those calls. You're going to role play those calls. You're going to pull the recordings. That's very, very important. You want to record calls. Now, important, make sure you check your local laws on the appropriate way to record in your state. Some states require no consent. Some states require one-party consent. Some states require two-party consent. So just figure out how to do that in your state. Ask your lawyer, and then go with that, right? Listen to the phone calls. Debrief, right? That means that you coach them and they coach themselves. What happened? What you do well? Then what you do better? Now, 1 or 2 of these should be ready for an appointment. Go with them on an appointment if you're locking up deals face to face. Let them go, but be there to help if they stumble. Now, some of you locked up deals over the phone. That's perfectly fine, right? Just be on a 3-way call and be there just in case the acquisition stumbles. Keep doing that. And basically, you are now going to close a deal. You have 3 appointments. You should be able to close 1, and boom, your acquisition specialist has their first contract. Man, let me tell you, it is going to feel good. Ideally, you want an acquisition specialist to have their first deal within 21 days of onboarding. I've seen it as long as 3 months, but I can tell you that once they hit it those first 3 weeks, life is going to change for you and them, okay? Remember, it's really, really important to take them through that process. You want to keep role-playing with them. You want to keep throwing objections. You want to record the calls, and you want to teach them how to do it appropriately. Very important, though, you want to understand that this is an ongoing process and never stops. It's not like, hey, they're trained, and now you're done. No, there's initial training, and then there's weekly training, and there's quarterly training, and you keep going and going and going. As soon as you think you've got it, that's when you're on the decline. Ask me how I know this. Now, I was at Pfizer, and I'm telling you, this place was a world-class training organization. They never stopped. They never stopped training you. They were relentless, and that was one thing I absolutely loved about that company. And so I've had the benefit of actually bringing some of those skills to this podcast. So thank you, Pfizer. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Polly Hook, for coming with me on that first day and trying to discourage me. So a quick review. Number 1, hire the right person. Number 2, the training process begins during the interview process. You want to study the No Limit Selling System at least twice, or you can listen to some of these podcasts. You want to use a script. I gave you that link. That's nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script. You want to throw objections at them slowly and get tougher gradually. The 3rd or 4th day, you want to start making calls with them, split half training, half making calls. You want to have them build a pipeline of 20 leads of people who say, yes, I might want to sell. You want to have them get commitments from each one of those people for the next step. And out of those, you're going to now start to see who the contenders are and the pretenders. All right. Keep role playing every day. And now out of that, you're going to find someone who's ready for an appointment. Next step is either do a 3-way call with them if you're locking up deals over the phone, or the in-person appointment and lock that deal up together, right? Hold their hand, lock it up. Hopefully within those first 21 days, you've got a contract. Could be 6 weeks, could be 3 months. But again, 3 weeks is absolutely ideal, right? Get that check and celebrate. Keep repeating that process. And most important, remember, this is an ongoing process. It's nonstop. It is nonstop. Love that process. And your acquisition specialists, man, they are a gift. Invest in them and they will invest in you. Man, if you want to download a copy of the script, just a reminder, go to nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com/script, and I will talk to you on the next episode.